Hi everyone, Fiona Valentine here with another Meet the Artists interview, and today I'm chatting with Jenny Aitken, UK artist. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My
Good morning.
pleasure. Yeah, morning for you, evening for me. Now, I'm excited to chat with you and to share your wonderful article on your paintings. And we were just sort of chatting before the video started about your viewpoint, which is often looking into the light. So tell us a bit about that, about you and the kind of art that you like to make, Jenny.
Well, a funny thing is I only recently found out that it's called contre-jour, that kind of painting. That probably highlights the fact that I am not a trained painter. I've taught myself since uni. So I went to university and I did a degree in art and art history in Wales. And I dropped out of painting almost immediately because I found it the most frustrating thing. We spent a whole term just painting white sheets and white objects. And by the end of it, that was me done. So I did photography instead, which I think is what really got me into painting the lights. Being fascinated with the light. So straight after uni, I went back into painting when it was my own thing again. And now, I love the challenge of trying to achieve an illusion of light on that two-dimensional surface, so that when you look at it, it actually makes you squint. It makes you, it has that reaction, that physical reaction. I find that incredible that can happen in that medium. So yeah, pure painting is my thing. Yes.
So, and do you work from life? Do you work from photos? Like, what does your process look like?
Yeah, I do both. I would like to work plein air from life more. Britain's not got the most amazing weather a lot of the time, so I'm a fair weather painter. I have painted in the rain in the Lake District here, but it's hard work, and painting in the sun is good. So what I do is I try and get down to the Cornish coast and the Channel Islands when I can, and I paint out there and study the light there. But then I also take a lot of photographs and I work from those in the studio. I work from the sketches on the bigger ones. What I find is the plein air work that I do is the singular best lesson. It's the best study that I can do for my studio work. When I'm painting outside, the results often aren't that fantastic, but the learning that's happening without me even realizing is incredible. I'll go back and I can just see it happen straight away. I'm interpreting colors from the photographs differently. I've got the memory of the experience of being there, the sound, the light banging around outside of the photographic image. It really makes a massive difference to my work. So it's a mixture. It's a definite mixture.
So it's amazing, isn't it, how you take in an experience from having tried to paint it outside, whatever the result is in the moment, and then that 3D memory that then enhances your sketch or your photograph.
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
And then I've led workshops and courses in plein air painting. Not many. I'm not the world's biggest plein air artist, but what I always tell people is don't look for your best painting. Don't set out with that aim to get something really good. It is just the process is the reason. The process of doing it is amazing. So.
Now, I read somewhere that you said the sea is in your blood. So tell us where you are and sort of where you grew up and how that informed your painting.
Yes, where I am actually is funny because I'm about 20 minutes away from the furthest part in Britain away from the sea. So that's probably not far to you guys because it's only 2 hours. But here it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to travel that far in a day, Anyway, my family comes from the Channel Islands. So because I grew up in a forces family, we didn't really have a home. You know, we kept moving. So we went back to Alderney in the Channel Islands, south of the UK, every year, several times a year, and it was home to me. And Alderney, where I come from, is 3 miles by 1 mile. That's it. It's just cliffs and beaches and a small amount of lovely people. So I grew up kind of with the sea just being right there in this yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I loved it. Then when I went to university, I chose Aberystwyth. It's on the west coast of Wales, and my university halls were right on the coast. So you looked straight out over the sea from my window. And so I spent a lot of time staring at the sea, taking photographs of the sea, writing poetry about the sea, and also, so yeah, feels like it's in my blood. I found out recently that my great granddad, I think, was a lighthouse keeper in an even smaller island off Alderney. And that, I've always had a bit of an obsession with lighthouses. And that was just perfect for me, finding that in my history.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Wow. Go on, ask me a question.
I love it. The places we lived, the places that are part of our story are just so powerful, aren't they? I didn't grow up by the sea, but my family moved a lot too. And I spent a lot of my childhood in a car travelling across Australia. And the landscape as it appears in a windscreen on the car, you know, is part of me. And now I live in southern Australia, in Melbourne, right on the coast, the southeast coast. But when I see footage of those places in the north and the centre of Australia, it moves me really deeply, because they're the places of my childhood. So I totally get that, even though for me it's not the sea. The place matters, doesn't it? And I think sometimes when you move away, it matters even more. It's tied to those.
Yeah, it's where it's your roots, isn't it? So it's holding you up.
So if you were going to, I know you teach a lot of workshops. Tell us something about process that you love to teach in your workshops. What makes your workshops, Jenny? And what are your favourite things to tell your students?
Favourite things to tell my students? Well, if I just briefly tell you a little bit about how I got into workshops as well.
Oh, yeah.
One of the first workshops I led was in Alderney. I went home and I think I was exhibiting with the very small art society, the art club there. And I can't really remember, but I remember thinking I could come along and do a bit of a tuition lesson thing, you know. And anyway, that developed into a 3-day workshop the following year for them. And since then, I've never looked back, because what I learned was I absolutely love encouraging people in their own journeys, which I guess probably every teacher, I'm not a trained teacher, but every teacher finds inspirational. And it really, in the last 10 years, it's taken over as my most favourite part of this job as professional artist, which would have, if you told me that at the beginning, that would have really surprised me. Because I love painting and just obsessively painting, mixing colour, being on my own, staring at the landscape. But so finding that love of encouraging people, that has shaped my workshop, my teaching methods. So probably my favourite thing in a workshop actually is to get people warmed up at the start. So I get them to do a tonal sketch, which involves them using just black and white paint. And I give them a kind of, 15-minute limit. I give them a really quick demo and then just say, right, splash it about. There's no preciousness here. Just go for it. By the end of that, you can see they're all just a little bit relaxed, Then we launch into colour paintings. And from that point on, once people are relaxed and comfortable, you can really speak in to where they're at, and you can. I'm going off in one big waffle, but it's really the encouraging side that I love, and sort of unpicking people's fear of painting, and also telling them that there aren't any rules, whilst teaching them how I do a certain thing. Getting them to put that into their method is what's satisfying. Ask me another question. I'm losing a thread.
No, I love it. I totally get it, because there's something just amazing about having a room full of people who are all excited for you to talk about painting and kind of do both those things together, of making it accessible, making it so that it's not that there are rules, but there are guidelines that can help you, and then the way that you use them is up to you.
Yeah.
So to be able to do those things together, to encourage and to be specific and give freedom, it's wonderful. There's something so special about workshops. I totally get that. And I love that way of warming people up, because I like to do that too, to set people at ease and to give permission. I think we all need that. And that sounds good. I'd love to come to one of your workshops. It sounds like a lot of fun.
They are fun. They are fun for some reason, but people are always in a good space. They're coming to just paint, you know, so it tends to be very easy to.
They want to be there. It's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
So tell us about what your working life looks like. Are you fairly routine oriented? Is it different all the time? How often do you
in a word, much like my life, erratic is probably the best. I mean, actually, workshops are structured very similarly, but life-wise, painting-wise, in order to make this work as a job, I have to diversify and do absolutely everything I can. So I have a studio a couple of miles away, shared studio, and I try to spend, some weeks it's 5 days a week, full days. Some weeks it's one, depends on what I'm doing and where I am. But I try and spend as much time there as I can, working on sketches, working on photographs. I'll tend to do one full day workshop, maybe twice every couple of weeks. I'll do 2 or 3 demonstrations, evening demonstrations, or daytime kind of 10 till 12 type group, maybe 2 or 3 times every couple of weeks. Those take, obviously the workshops, they take preparation, so I'll have to have admin days. Admin days are okay. They just need coffee. I also write for a magazine, so that's called The Artist Magazine. I'm not sure whether it reaches across to you, but it publishes articles on how to and how, have a look it up. So I write, I've just finished a 12-month course on painting in acrylics, painting light in acrylics, just in loads of different subjects. And I'm about to start another series on painting in oils, because I use both. So that takes up a bit of time. And I make videos for YouTube as well, which they're at the beginning of their journey, I'd say. They're not super professional, but I'm just about to film some videos for The Artist Magazine, which will be somewhat more professional, I think. They'll be coming out next year. And I'm trying to write a book. So
and do you sleep?
Yeah, actually these days I sleep quite well, so that's nice. I'm trying to put together a lot of the work that I've put into articles. I'm sort of trying to bring it together and make something more cohesive, just about my methods, what I've learned, which is exciting. I love writing. I really love writing almost as much as I love painting. So that's quite a pleasure. It's not a hardship to do that. What else do I do? I think I might have reached the end. There's always something going on. I tell you what else I do, which is slightly unrelated, so I'll keep it quick. I'm in a band. I'm a singer, a member of a band called Red Ruff, and we're an a cappella band. We write our own music and perform a cappella harmonies, and it's quirky and slightly odd and funny. So that takes up a little.
Yeah, wow, I'm in awe. I love singing too. I love music and piano, and making time for all of these interests is challenging. So I'm listening to your list going, wow, you're busy. That's great.
It is great. Actually, another thing is I'm getting into doing teaching on holidays. So taking people, I've wanted to do that for a while. Partly because I love the idea of going on holiday and spending the whole time painting, but also because it's really nice to get people for a while, not just a day. And there's just so much further you can go, so much more you can do. And so I've been looking into that, and I finally, so the Pyrenees trip that's coming up, I'm going to go and research, because there's a hotel in the Pyrenees where I'm supposed to be teaching for 2 weeks next autumn. And I'm going over this week to research that, have a look where I can take people and check out the hotel, which would be lovely. I'm also going to the south of UK next year, to Bournemouth, to teach a group of people on a 3-day course in a nice hotel.
Perfect.
So yeah, fitting these things in, but they're all on the same, they all involve the same skills and the same head. So it's not, it fits together well.
So do you find that you need anything to kind of transition from that public, being with people, teaching or traveling space to get back into your studio alone time, or does that happen fairly easily for you?
What's harder is coming out of the studio time into people again, into the people's world. Because whenever I paint, I do get quite zoned out, really, and just quiet. And I need quiet. I need concentration. I actually, in my shared studio, there's lovely people in my studio, but I do actually have not a pair of headphones for music, a pair of ear silencers,
Yeah, I love those.
I've had to apologize for that to people, but sometimes I just need nothing, absolutely nothing, so I can just focus on what I'm doing. Coming out of that is, I need an hour or so of, quietly coming back. But coming out of workshops or writing or things like that, I tend to be on a bit of a buzzy high, so that's fine. I can go into the studio like that. It's easy enough.
I think it's almost the opposite for me, that I find it more challenging coming back the other way. And I find I need more space coming out of public teaching, or maybe not writing so much, because like you, I'm about to start writing for a magazine here in Australia, Australian Artist Magazine. And I've been blogging this last year, and I found I love it. I love thinking deeply about the painting process and expressing it in words. It's meaningful to me. I really enjoy that side of it. But if I've been out, I love teaching, I love doing workshops, but I find I come back and I'm not ready to paint. I need space on that side before I can dive back in. It's funny, isn't it? Everybody's journey and personality responds differently.
Yeah. I find if I'm encouraged and enlivened by people, or by, say, I got into an exhibition, and an important one here in the UK, it was RSMA in London, and I went down to the private view, saw all these amazing paintings where my painting was hanging with them, and it was exciting and full of, and I came back the next day, and that kind of thing fuels painting for me. It's encouraging. And it's exciting. So I've got all this energy that I can then just pile into a painting.
Inspired.
It's been quite quiet, and things have been quite slow. That's actually harder to go into the studio. I need that little buzz,
Yeah. Wow. So you've shared, I think, one of your articles that you've written with everybody here at The Confident Artist, and a link to your YouTube channel, which I love. You've done a great job on I know you say it's early days, but yeah.
Yeah, filming with my phone.
So good. So one of the things I love about the way that you work is the way that you change color temperature and give that feeling of the hills or the sea, and how it's changed by the light, whether it's, I don't know what you call that effect, whether it's halation or something. I think that's more the effect it has on leaves. But
okay,
before we go, do you have any tips about that sort of change of colour and the way that light affects it? I know that my viewers are really interested in colour and learning how to understand it.
So this is one of those things. I love writing, and I can put these answers into words really well on a written page, I think. Well, I'm going to try verbally, but as you've probably figured out, I'm not unbelievably articulate when it comes to this.
I think you're doing great.
But thank you. But yeah, so I'll try and just put into some of the things I've noticed. With light, what's an example? So pure color, secondary and primary color. I've noticed if you've got that somewhere near the light, that really works well, the really bright light. So you've got pastels and tones that get warmer towards the light. Say if you're thinking of light on the water, it'd be really great if there was a little picture that I could look at now to prompt this, but I haven't got one. Yeah, always one over that. So you've got this, the colors are desaturating towards this bit of light on the water, and then in the foreground, out of the direct path of light, if you had, say, in a harbour scene, a boy, a red or a yellow boy, those can be primary colours, really vibrant, no white in there, and they're justified by the light. And those colours, they give a context to the light, which makes for the special effect. Oh, I could really do with illustrating that.
Yeah.
It's
so
really difficult to explain.
Yeah.
So in perhaps a more basic way, the depth, colours desaturate as they go away. That's just a really easy thing to remember. So as soon as you're doing hills that are rolling away, you just think the colours that you've got in the foreground are not going to be anywhere near the background. In the background, they're cooler and they're pastels. In the foreground, they're warmer and they're vibrant colours. That's an easy one to take, to give you light and depth.
It's lovely hearing the way that other artists explain things. I think it's so good for people to hear lots of different people explain light and colour and these effects, because somebody will say it in a particular way that just clicks with you at wherever you're at in your art journey. And I think hearing different people express it in their own way is so helpful. So thank you for trying hard to articulate that. It made sense to me.
Good.
Really good.
Yeah, when I teach, I tend to use I'll always teach through demonstration, partly because it helps me to share the lesson, and partly because, you can see what I'm talking about. It makes a lot more sense.
So good.
Have a look online. Have a look at my YouTube videos.
We will. Yeah, that's exciting. I'll share the link, and we'll all have a look and see what you're talking about. So besides your YouTube channel, where can we connect with you, Jenny?
So on my Facebook page, that's probably my most Instagram page and Facebook page. They're my most attended things. They're being up on my phone all the time, and I respond to everyone. So I often get people asking for tips and hints on things, and I'm quite happy to get into conversation over those things. I have a website which I keep updated, which will have, hopefully my courses and workshops are going to spread over the world, beginning with Spain. So I keep that updated, and a news page there. Where else? I'm all over the place. It's a bit boring. Twitter. I'm on Twitter. You just you Google Jenny Aitken art, you'll find all the places where I am.
Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today and sharing about your work. We'll look forward to looking at your YouTube channel and hope that your trip to the Pyrenees is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're sorry it's so far away. Lovely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jenny. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.